Hey, welcome to Outdoors with Cat. Catmandu here, and I'm going to briefly discuss my latest through hike, and that's the Pinhoti Trail, which goes from Alabama to northern Georgia, stops just a little bit shy of Tennessee, and joins the Benton Mackay Trail, which if you want to go 100 miles south, it'll link back up to Springer Mountain, and a lot of people will do that, and then they'll take Springer all the way to Katahdin, or as they like to say, Bama to Baxter. So I want to talk a little bit about the Pinhoti and something that I tried this hike that I've never done before. If you haven't had a chance to go through my bio, I'm just going to give you like a brief history of my backpacking. I've day hiked forever. I used to work on a mountain in the Shwangunks in New York, the foothills of the Catskills, and I just loved hiking, hiked all the time. But backpacking, as you know, is a totally different animal. So in 2019, a year after I retired, I hit the AT, and I thru hiked that going northbound, and I was able to do that in 123 days, and it was just life-changing experience. I fell in love with the hiking community, and I knew the next thing I was going to do was continue to backpack. And so I got the bug big time. So after I finished the AT, I was already making plans for what's next. The next year, of course, was 2020, which we know as the year of COVID. So that year I did the long trail. I hiked the long trail, and that kind of satisfied my through hiking need for that year, and it kind of was getting me ready for the Pacific Crest Trail the next year. I started that spring off hiking the Benton Mackay as a no-bow. So I was going northbound on the Benton Mackay, and from Springer Mountain, just maybe a quarter mile from where you start the AT, you start the Benton Mackay. And so I hiked the Benton Mackay more as a shakedown and just to kind of prepare myself and get ready for the Pacific Crest Trail, which I did southbound. And it's important to prep for that because the first mountain range you're going to tackle are the Cascades, and they're formidable. So I wanted to be ready, and ready I was. So the Benton was a good shakedown, got me ready. So in July I hit the Pacific Crest Trail. I went from Harts Pass, tagged British Columbia, and then came back to 30 miles and continued on for the entire beautiful state of Washington, into the gorgeous state of Oregon, all the way to Sayette Valley, California, to learn that the next 600 miles was fire closure due to the Caldor Fire Complex. Nothing new out west. You're always dodging fires. I didn't want to lose the amount of miles, so I hitchhiked to Oregon, and I did the California Coastal Trail for a few hundred miles. When that became a road walk, I made my way back to the Pacific Crest Trail, right to where it reopened at Sonora Pass or Kennedy Meadows North. And from there, I hiked, continued my hike southbound. I made it to Ptolemy Meadows. You might know that as Yosemite. When I got there, we got the bad news that for an indefinite amount of time, the Pacific Crest Trail was going to be closed to Mexico. At the time, there were active fires in California, but none south from Ptolemy Meadows to Mexico. Yeah, but they were afraid that they had too many resources that were being utilized, and if a fire did break out, they would never be able to control it. So the government stepped in, closed the trail, and so I went home. Without a definite date. We had no idea. It ended up being 5 weeks, which is enough to lose your mojo, your momentum, and everything else as a thru hiker. So when I got home, I decided, you know what, I have unfinished business. So finished the Benton Mackay up. I hiked that all the way to Davenport Gap. Beautiful trail again. Absolutely loved it. Got home, and all I could dream of was Pacific Crest Trail. By then, it's December, which is a no-go because the Sierras are already 2 months in snow, the desert's already in the 20s, and there's snow in San Jacinto's and San Giorgio's, and so no. So what I did is I just bided my time, and in the spring, beginning of April, saw me at Campo at the Mexican border, and I was going northbound. So I reversed directions and hiked all the way back up to Sayette Valley, Northern California,
This time without any fire closures, and ended up with more miles than the trail had. So I felt very accomplished, and I was happy to do it in a calendar year. So that was awesome. And then, so, the next thing was the Pinhoti this year. And that's where I did something different I've never done. Well, I have a condition that hasn't changed, and that's a bad back. I was a hands-on working manager, horticulturalist, and into grounds management. So I was planting trees, doing patios, building walls, a lot of heavy work that I did. And over time, I developed 7 bone spurs, a couple of compressed discs, and arthritis in my back. So I'm a 60-year-old guy that just has a love for hiking. So I make it work because I do a lot of dynamic stretching, I do a lot of core, and I try not to ever stop. So I'm always going a million miles an hour. Had never, in all those hikes I mentioned, slack packed or even considered it, to be honest with you. So day 4 of the hike found me on what I call a Nero. It's a short day where I'm coming off the trail into town to resupply. It would be my first resupply on day 4. Shower, which is very necessary at this point, and do laundry. So I went to the Next Step Hostel, and Jeff and Nancy are just awesome people. Great place to go. Can't miss it. That's in Talladega. So I had a great stay there. Nancy mentioned, your back is bothering you. Maybe I could slack pack you. So the next day I was going to do 17 miles, which went through the rock garden, and it featured about a 2,800 foot ascent, about 2,400 foot descent. So I took her up on it. I said, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to leave all this other stuff. I still wore my pack, had my rain gear in it, and I just brought 3 liters of water because I figured I'm going to utilize that water. It's been very dry in Alabama. And so, off I went. In about 7 hours I finished. Nancy was right there. She pulled up. She goes, I can't believe you're done already. So, and at the time, Steven from Panama Beach and Reese from Florida as well, and his dog Bailey, they were joining me on that hike. So we saw a little bit of each other that day. And then day 6, I went back to Next Step. Rested my back, and it's funny because the day that I slack packed, my back was killing me the whole day. So the next day I really didn't know what that was going to entail because my back was killing me. Now I had a fresh resupply, so I had weight in my pack. And anyway, I got on trail, was very stiff, worked it out, ended up doing maybe I think 12 miles, went through the Stairway of Heaven, which is gorgeous, and I got to Chiha. And at Chiha, it started raining for the maybe 20 minutes of rain. I saw the whole trail. And Reese had called Daniel from Green Hippies. And I said, you know what? That sounds like a great idea. Let's conclude the day. Let's go see Green Hippies. Check it out. So we went there. Daniel and Rue had just made a pizza in their homemade pizza oven. It was perfect. Hit the spot. Nice shower. Clean facilities. Great people. A working farm. Next morning breakfast, fantastic. Farm fresh eggs, just a great solid breakfast, carbs, protein, everything you need, plus coffee. And we elected to slack pack the next day. So I was feeling like that was a good call for me, give my back a little respite. And also, I was a little disappointed in my performance because I wasn't really racking up some miles because my back was my limiting factor. So that day on day 13, I pushed some serious miles, and I did 21 miles. So we went to Chiha to Highway 20, did it less than 7 hours. So Daniel picked us up. We gave him a call. He couldn't believe we were there already. Picked us up, brought all 3 of us back. So Stephen, Reese, Bailey, the dog, Kathmandu, fed us a fantastic dinner. Theme here is really good food, really good accommodations, really good hosts. The next day, we were doing day 8. He dropped us back off, Daniel, at Highway 20, and we pushed to Pine Glen Campground, which was like 19.2 miles. Did that under 6 hours. Gave Daniel like a half-hour heads up, so he was pretty much right on trailhead as the other guys were piling out of the woods. So I was feeling good because I'm getting my miles. And then finally, the last day, which was my day 9. Daniel dropped us back off at Pine Glen, and I hiked with Steve, who now became the governor. We hiked a little bit under 20 miles. So I'm feeling good. My back is better. My mileage is better. The break from having to carry my pack. And I'm not an ultralighter. I'm 38 pounds. And I'm used to it. But then every now and then my back gets tense. It does it when I'm not backpacking. So, you can argue, well, if you're ultralight, you wouldn't have the problem. But I probably would, because I wouldn't be sleeping or be as comfortable as all the comfort items I bring. So that's my deal. That's my trade-off. But it's all good. So, we were feeling really good. So we were really burning like 20-mile days at that point, me and the governor. And so we were just happy to just get moving. Checked out a bunch of comments on Far Out, formerly known as Gut Hooks, and a lot of really great comments about the Hearn Inn. And, call Callie ahead of time. I highly recommend it. I'll put her number and the Hearn Inn information in the credits and my description of this talk, as well as Daniel from Green Hippies and Next Step Hostel, Jeff and Nancy, and also this wonderful lady named Sandra, Lindsey. Because after Daniel dropped us off for our last go and bid us goodbye, he mentioned that this is a great opportunity. The grade here is really fantastic. I talk about miles and I talk about time relative to doing the miles. And by no means am I advocating, you got to push miles, you got to go fast. It's what I do. It's my hike. I hike my hike. And my hike, I hike miles. I like to crush miles. I like to crush time. I don't miss anything. I take hundreds of pictures. It's just what I like to do. It's what I'm into. So as far as I was concerned, the grade, the trail, and the miles came easy. And when I say that, I mean they'll come easy for everybody. It's not a hard grade. It's very doable. Yeah, it might take you 9 or 10 hours, but you can do the 20 miles. It's a piece of cake. 20 miles, if you did it in 10 hours, it's only 2 miles an hour. And these grades, I was pushing 3.7 to 3.9 miles per hour. And when I say, a finish of like 6.5 hours, that's like breaks and everything else, maybe even making water, filtering water. So real nice grades. So Daniel was inspired. He goes, I think I see an opportunity here to slack hikers, bring them back to Green Hippies. They can get a shower, a nice meal. So he's going to develop that. So look forward to that. That might be something in the future you could take advantage of. For me, I felt great because now I was hitting my mile stride that I wanted to. And really, Daniel was the conduit that helped me do that. So we were off and running, the governor and I, and then we just started doing 20-mile days. That was routine for us. We got into Cave Cove. I texted Callie the night before, said, hey, we're coming in, rooms available, no problem. Her husband met us, let us in. The Hearn Inn, you must stay. And why I'm talking about must also, the town is the quaintest little town. It's really, really good. Great barbecue, great steakhouse, reasonable prices. The food was phenomenal. Dollar store, resupply, they had everything. Also, I'd be remiss to mention that Daniel sent us on his way with some of his freeze-dried cheesecake and his tomato soup. Cheesecake, 2 thumbs up. It was awesome. Tomato soup was great. Especially I saved it for one night when it was 25 degrees. So it hit the spot perfect. Very good. Everything, all the flavors you want, they were there. It was great. When I was at the Hearn Inn, I got a hold of Sandra, Lindsey. She's a director. She's on the board of the Pinhoti in Georgia. Sweetheart lady. And we scheduled her to slack us. So what she did is picked us up at the Hearn Inn, brought us north, and dropped us off at Sims Pass trailhead. So we had a 20-mile road walk. And so we hit it. We were back in like 5.5 hours, able to shower, again, eat good food, kind of resupply, and then Sandra picked us up the next day, brought us back to trailhead, and off we were going. So that little bit of slack pack helped me get on to my mileage goals. It helped set the tempo for my hike, and it was overall just a great experience. And I know going forward, it's a tool that I'll use. I'll be doing a CDT next year, and I think if an opportunity arises to do some slack packing, and maybe do like a 25 or 30 mile day, I will definitely take advantage of that. So hopefully this video is helpful. I'm going to put the resources, Jeff and Nancy, Daniel and Rue, and Sandra, Lindsey. Those are great people, and Callie from the Hearn Inn. Just great hospitality. Enhanced my experience with the Pinhoti, and it really made it wonderful. Especially the first road walk that was 20 miles or 22 or 3 miles. We knocked off 3 miles a day before, and just knocking off 20 in 5.5 hours. It's like, you know what? It's no big deal. We're just going to get it done and over with. Except for the interstate where the logging trucks were. It was really pretty, and people were very courteous and generous. I think they understand this is not only a road, but it's shared with hikers, and everybody got over, and we didn't run into any misbehaved dogs, so that was a real big concern of mine too. But it's also smart to have a little pepper spray with you, which I had in my hand whenever a dog looked like he was going to be super aggressive. So fortunately, never had to use it, but my overall experience was superly enhanced by slacking. It's a great way to do that, the road section, and it's a great way to get generated miles. The grade of the Pinhoti is one that it's real nice trail to do. It's a great shakedown hike. I think it's perfect if you're considering doing the AT or any of the big trails. Not as difficult as the Benton MacKay, certainly not as difficult as the Long Trail, but just a lot of beauty. I hit the fall foliage perfect. It's a great trail. I'm going to do a movie that's going to basically be like the how-to resupply, where to resupply, and then you can just take and modify what I do on my miles based on what you think you can do with your miles, and just that way adapt it to your resupply. But I'm gonna mention everything from how do you get to trail to how do you get off trail. A lot of these videos, they're missing links on some of the vital information, and I want to be the guy that supplies that information to make your hikes easier. So stay tuned. I'm going to try to do that in the next couple of weeks. We've got Thanksgiving coming up and other things going on, but it's all good. Always thinking about the next hike. Happy trails from Kathmandu.